Doug Franklin in the LeaderTrex office here at Student Leadership Team Central. I want to help you out with a little bit more information about developing student leadership teams. You know, one of the questions that we get the most is how do I choose the right students for my team? I think that's a really important question, and one that you really need to navigate through before you speak to students about who can be on the team. But I think the first thing, just a really good best practice, is you need an application. So if your students are going to want to be on the student leadership team, they need to fill out an application. There's a free downloadable student leadership application on my blog at dougfranklinonline.com, and you can grab that. But you can customize it just for your church and for your culture a little bit as well too. But have an application. An application requires students to answer the questions, to think through some things. And so right there, that'll be a filter to weed out some kids that aren't really into it. And I think applications can really help you understand who's willing to put the hard work into being on a student leadership team. The second thing I would think about is this: limit the number of students you have on the team. If you want to have the kind of student leadership team where everybody can come to it, I think you can. You can do that, but I think that's called youth group. And that doesn't really change how youth group works, and there's no additional responsibilities, and everybody's equal. And so, you know, that thing can get kind of messy. I think the best thing to do is to limit your student leadership team to 10 or 12 students, something like that, if you have that money that want to participate. If you don't, having fewer is fine as well too. But I would limit the number. I don't think you can invest in students, you as one person, can invest in more than 12 students at a time. And so I think 12 is the maximum number you can have. But when you have a limited number, you are going to have questions about who can be on the team and who cannot be on the team. If you have to say no to a student, here's what I suggest. You say no to that student face to face, and then you give that student some action steps that they can take in order to be on the team next year. And I would check in with that student. I would talk with that student as the year goes on. I might even give them the starting line book, resource book here at LeaderTrex, so that they can begin to develop their leadership skills working by themselves. But if they accomplish all the steps that you give them to do, I'd put them on the student leadership team next year. I think that's really important. I think it's really important to have qualifications and to be really clear about those qualifications and why someone hasn't made it or why someone has made it. Another tip, if you have to say no to a student, please go talk to their parents and let their parents know face to face. It'll save you a lot of problems. The third thing that I think is really important is that you should have a covenant, and that student leaders who join the student leadership team should sign a covenant that says what you expect of them and how often you plan on having meetings and what you expect for them to do and what disqualifies them in the middle of the year. And I think they should sign that covenant. And I think you should hold to it. And if students don't keep to the covenant, I think you should remove them from the team. I think that's really important to do. So having a student leadership team requires you to have the right students. You do that through an application process. I think you do that by limiting the number. And I think third is you have a covenant so everybody knows what's expected of them. I hope this is helpful.